I set foot on the campus to come visit it, I was struck by how open and how welcoming the students and the professors were. Coming to Gordon was like coming home.
I think intentional community is what Jesus modeled with his disciples, and Gordon has really fostered a good place for intentional community to happen.
Gordon is a place where you can meet people from all over the world and hear their stories. I meet a lot of different people who are shaping who I am today.
Gordon seeks to graduate men and women of character, of leadership, and the world is the place where Gordon students belong.
Choosing to go to Gordon was, I think, one of the best decisions I've made in my life. I expect to be changed.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope.
Hello there. Thanks for joining me today as we talk today on the good man syndrome. What is a good man? What is a good person? What is a good woman? This topic came to my attention recently as we looked at the idea of words and what words mean and the definition of certain words and the confusion that we're having in our society today over words that are being used. This came to light very clearly recently when our particular candidate for the Supreme Court was asked, what is a woman? And the answer was, I don't know. I can't give you an answer to that. So it puts it into perspective that words today are different, and we approach words today differently than we did in the past. There is something about words that are confusing, words that are catching our attention, words that are important to us in the past, but not important to us now. So let's take a look at this idea of the words. And eventually I'm going to come to this word of good, what the word good means as we put that together. You know, this all means that we're into this area of what we call wordsmithing, to try to find the right word to express the right idea at the right time and in the right way so that people will understand clearly what is being communicated. That's wordsmithing. And we're now becoming a wordsmithing society. We're trying to take words and give them new meaning, give them new identity, give them new purpose, if you will, give new usage. And that's confusing us as a community and as a society and as a culture, the words that are being used. Some words are being tossed out today. Some words are being brought into our vocabulary and never been there before. Just like the word that now we can't use the word boy or the word girl. We have to use some other sound that means boy or means girl. So we've had some confusion in that particular area. The issue of tossing out words and bringing in new words into our vocabulary has become a popular sport almost. So what I'd like to do is just kind of say we're having a fight over pronouns in our schools. We're telling teachers they can't use certain pronouns. We're telling parents they can't use certain pronouns. You know, so we're having a fight over words today. So let's take a look at this concept of words and what it means. This becomes very clear in the university setting. Let me go back to the University of Texas in Austin. Just recently, students sued the school for the use of the song, Spirit Song. It's a school song. So the students got offended by certain words in that particular song and are now suing the school, asking the school to no longer use that particular song as the school song because of certain words that are in that particular song. And then you go to Point Park University. Point Park University, the students were warned not to use certain pronouns. And if they did use certain pronouns, they would be punished and they would be disciplined, for that. So words are becoming a battleground almost, for America. The Chicago Tribune recently just wrote an article about doing away with what is known as Black Friday. Now, Black Friday's been with us for years, and it's a time of joy. It's a time of excitement. It's a time of sales and getting ahead of the cost factor, if you will. And now the Tribune is saying, get rid of that idea of the Black Friday because of the word black. And so you can see this idea of words and what it means, and what now we can't use the words because it might mean something and offend somebody. And if you're going to offend somebody, you have to find something else to use as an expression to get your idea across. So we're really into trouble when it comes to that. So that brought me to kind of a memory of my history a little bit. And I went back into the book of Genesis, and I said, I remember the word good being associated with the creation story. So I went back to reread that whole creation story from this point of view of the word good. And what you find there is that when God created, the heavens and then the earth and the animals and the trees and on down, through the different days of the week, the word good came out because God then said, and it was good, and it was good, and it was good, and it was good. And then the last day, the creation of man occurred. And God didn't say it was good. God said in that particular phrase, and it was very good. So it was a whole different concept, that man is different from the rest of the world. That's good, but man was very good. So you can see even the play on words that was taking place in those days. And we need to understand where the word comes into our context and how we can use words to not only convey an idea, but to convey an important idea or to put importance on an idea by the words that we use and the words that mean something to other people. So when you get into the idea of some kind of a new word or a new vowel of some kind or some kind of a expression, it doesn't mean anything to most people. You see, in the field of science, in the field of medicine, in the field of all these different science area, we have what we call code language. In the field of psychology and mental health, we have certain words that when I say a word like schizophrenia, we all know what that means. That's a word that is very generally accepted and we all know what it means. If I use the word depression, we know what that word means. I don't have to describe it, don't have to define it, don't have to say very much about it. Just say that a person is depressed and we know what that means. Same with the word anxiety or belligerent or whatever it might be. We in our field have these code languages and words that are part of our science and part of our communication system. And that's what words do. They help you communicate, help you relate, help you convey an idea, help you understand something as people use words. It's interesting when you go back to the movie My Fair Lady. Now, My Fair Lady had a whole host of songs that made up this particular movie. I think it was 25 different songs. And remember the song that was sung by Rex Harrison. And he came up with this song that said, "Why can't a woman be like a man?" And he goes through this whole story of why a woman cannot be like a man. And he was hoping that might generate some interest in helping women change their behavior so it'd be more of a manly kind of behavior. And remember what he said in that particular song? A man is so decent, so fair, nobly honest, kind, logical, a companion, a friend in need when you needed something. He went on to describe the characteristics of a man. And then he sings this song, Why Can't a Woman Be Like a Man? And then what the thinking was in that particular day, that was in the late 60s, in that particular day was that the word was this, that you changed the behavior. You didn't change the characteristics of the person. You didn't change the physical structure of the person. You didn't change the way that a person looks. You changed how a person behaved. And he was advocating for a behavioral change in women so that they behave more like a man. And it was a satire, and it was an interesting little story that he kind of created in this movie and the song. But it tells you kind of a historical point that there was a time when we did encourage behavioral change. Now we encourage physical structural change, a whole different way of approaching change and approaching different personalities and different people in our particular culture. So where do we go with this? What's the importance of this? Why do we have this? Why do we have the importance of words? Why do we play with the idea of words, changing the meaning of words? What's the purpose of all that? Because the important thing is we need to be on the same page. When we use a word, we all need to know what it means. When we use a phrase, we all need to know what it means. That adds for relationships. That adds for communication. That adds for bonding. That brings people together. But when you start splitting words and you start saying you can't use certain words, you got to use this phrase, you got to use that sound, what you're doing is you're taking people and you're dividing them. You're splitting them apart. You're separating people out one from the other. And that's not what you want to do. You want words that bring people together, that bond people, that help people become part of a community, if you will. That's what words do. It brings community. It doesn't bring the idea of the separation of people, but bringing people together so that we know who we are, we know what we are, and we know the purpose for which we live. And that's what community is all about. As people identify and accept themselves as who they are and the role that they play, then the world becomes together. We bond together. We encourage a joint relationship. But you can bring new words in, and that begins then to separate people out, and then people start to feel alienated, not part of the process of thinking and of relationships and of decision-making and so on. So today, let me look at this idea of the good person, the good man, the good woman, the good boy, the good girl. The word of good. What does that word mean? And how does that bring people together? And how does that help us get an appreciation for each other as individuals? So there's a quote that I'd like you to just kind of pick up on and put this into context, okay? Goodness is a special kind of truth and beauty. Goodness is truth and beauty expressed in human behavior. So get a hold of that idea. Goodness is a special kind of truth and beauty. The beautiful world in which we live, and it helps explain it and describe it and to give it a picturesque meaning in our life. But we want to speak the truth, and we want to speak the truth in love and speak the truth with beauty. So get a hold of that little quote, know what it means for yourself, and let it come into your life. Let it come into your mind. Let it come into your behavior pattern so that you will be not only a good person, but you'll behave in a good way, that your life will be described as a life of truth and a life of beauty. So look at that as I pick up here on my desk in a little bit, and we'll look at the idea of what a good person is, the good person syndrome. Okay, let me bring this issue to your full attention. The good person syndrome. You know, we want to make sure that we have a person that is good in our life. We want people in our life that are good. We want people that we can associate with, that we can relate to, we can become part of, and become an example to us and give us encouragement. It's the good person that we want to identify with and make sure is part of our life. So let me just kind of identify some of the characteristics of what I think are a good person and what some of the psychological research indicates as a part of a good person or a good personality or a good child or a good family. The word good, okay? The word good really means trustworthy. You're a person who is trustworthy, a person whose word is good, a word is trusted, a word can be believed, a word, whatever he says, can be based on decision making, and we can move forward believing in the truth. So the word good, the good person is a good person who is trustworthy, is able to convince other people to do things and to enjoy things and to participate in things and to benefit things because that person is a good person and is a trustworthy person. You know, some of the research here recently shows this, that if you are going to have surgery, you want to not only like your doctor, but you want to trust your doctor. And that's what a good person is. A good doctor is one that is likable, but is also trustworthy. And if you are going to have some kind of a medical procedure and you don't like your doctor, you can't trust your doctor, you need to find another doctor. You need to go somewhere else. Because that means if you like and trust your doctor, you're more likely to have a positive outcome of that particular medical procedure, whatever it is, surgery or so on. So trustworthiness really brings about a much better resolution, a better outcome by the people involved if they are good people and a good person. So you want a doctor, you want a physician that is a good person because that person is a trustworthy doctor and a trustworthy person. Secondly, I'd like to give you the idea of responsibility. A good person is one who is responsible, has a life based upon responsibility, a life that starts out at age 2, 3, 4, taking on responsibilities, and parents give kids responsibilities. They take out the garbage, they feed the dog, they put out cat food, you know, they water the plants. I mean, kids at an early age start to take on a responsibility, and that's important because then you have a life that is built on responsibility. And good people have a whole lifestyle of being responsible and having duties that they carry out in a responsible, consistent, and positive kind of way. So kids need pets because pets teach a child the issue of responsibility, how to be a responsible child, because that will translate into that child becoming a good person. When that child lives a life that you can trust that child, but you can also believe in that child being a responsible child and doing what they say they're going to do and doing what has been assigned to them to do. So trustworthiness and responsibility are two critical issues of the word good when you talk about a good person or a good child. The third one is this: a lifetime of fairness. Of fairness. You know, we like people, we refer to people as good people when we know that they are fair, that they don't take all the first benefits of something, but they share it equally with their family, they share it equally with their friends, they share it equally with their associates. If there is something to be shared, they share equally, fairly. And that's what fairness is all about, is getting down to the idea that life is a shared experience, but we share it in a unselfish kind of way. We share it in a manner that other people benefit as much as we benefit. We benefit as much as other people benefit. That kind of equality, that's fairness. And we want that in our life, and we want that in the people that we refer to as good people. Trustworthy, responsible, and fair. That's three key factors in the life of an individual that we can put trust in and that we can relate to and we have good relationships with because we see them as being a good person. Then let's go to the idea of caring. Based on caring, people who care, kids who care, children who learn how to care Adults who care for others, especially people who are in need. That's what a good person does. Expresses caring for others. And if you're in need for some reason, have physical disability or a mental disability or an emotional disability or whatever it might be, a fair person is also one who tries to balance out and to be equal with all people, whether disabled or not, but to be caring, to be helpful, to be supportive, to be part of their life, and to build them up and to give them a sense of importance because you care for them. Give them a sense of meaning in their life because you care for them. That's what caring is all about. Then let's look at the idea of a honorable citizen, an honorable citizenship pattern of behavior. You remember going back to elementary school when you got your grades at the end of the school year or the school semester or school quarter. You got your grades, and then on the other side of the piece of paper or the grade marking paper was citizenship. And you got a little mark as to whether you are a good citizen or you're making progress or you're not a good citizen or whatever. Teachers gave kids a citizenship score. And what that meant was that that kid was demonstrating in the classroom honesty and thoughtfulness and kindness and helpfulness and being socially aware and socially helpful, to other people, to be thoughtful of others. That was citizenship. And we had teachers that would grade you every quarter on this issue of citizenship and help you improve your ability to be a good citizen and to be a thoughtful citizen and a caring citizen within the context of that particular classroom. But hopefully that would generate and go beyond the classroom into the world of the student, into the home of the student, into the community of the student, that you would carry with you that sense of being a good citizen. That's what a good person is. It's a person that has citizenship plus, that is known by others as being that good citizen and got good grades on citizenship throughout his schooling years. So that's what a good person is that a good citizen. And then next is that being admired for a specific trait. Being admired for your kindness. Being admired for your gratitude. Being admired or honored for your helpfulness and your consideration of other people. Having some kind of a trait that people would look up to you because of that particular trait. I think of the trait of humility as being the greatest trait that you could have, that you could possess, that you could exude to others. Humility. People love people who are humble. Very few people are humble. People don't learn to be humble. But we do need to learn to be humble. That's what we need to learn. We need to learn in our society the humble attitude, the humble way of life, the humble structure of thinking and relating to people. Humility is putting yourself aside, putting yourself second, putting yourself down line, letting other people have the limelight, let other people take the praise and the attention, if you will. Do what you do, but not for praise. Do what you do not for the accolades of people, not because of you're being paid for something or because you're being rewarded in some kind of way. Humility is doing things because it's the right thing to do at the right time, in the right way, in the right situation. Humility. We need a society. We need a world that flourishes on humility. We wouldn't have any crime. Crime would be zero if all of us, theoretically, all of us could live a life of humility. If only some of us live a life of humility, crime can be reduced. And I think that's the answer to crime today, is teaching humility to our students in school, encouraging humility in our homes, encouraging humility in our marriages, in our family life, in our society. It's the word humility and the act of humility that will take away the social inadequacies and the social anger and the social inappropriate behavior that takes place in our communities today, way beyond what is right and proper and necessary. So It's like a triangle, if you will. At the top of the triangle should be humility. You have all these other behavior patterns that we do. Sure, we are trustworthy, and sure, we are responsible, and we're fair, and we're kind. But at the apex, at the top of the triangle, needs to be that word humility. It needs to be that goal that we become a humble person and live a humble life and let others then appreciate the life that we live, and we appreciate the life that they live. And there's that equality, that coming together, that bonding together around the idea of humility. And then next is what I refer to as the right and wrong principle. Good people know right from wrong. Good families know right from wrong. Good children know right from wrong. Good marriages obey and follow the principles of what is right and what is wrong. There's a code of conduct, if you will, that's right or wrong, and you live according to that. It's a life based on ethics. It's a life based upon morality. It's a life based on thoughtfulness for other people, consideration for other people. That's what right and wrong has to do. Of course there is a right, and of course there is a wrong. There are borders, there are boundaries, there are limits to our behavior. And when we go beyond that limit, go beyond that boundary, we go on beyond what is socially acceptable, we're into wrong kinds of behavior, and trouble's going to result from that. So think of it as right and wrong, and learn to live within the context of what is right. Then let me come to the word of betterment. A good person lives a life that contributes to the betterment of his family, lives a life for the benefit of his community, lives a life to the benefit of his church, lives a life benefit to his club, lives a life benefit to the community, the neighborhood in which he lives. That's what a good person does. His presence creates a better family, a better way of life, a better way of thinking, a better way of relating to each other, a better way of interacting with each other. When you walk away, you leave something better behind. You made changes. You made an important impact in that the people that knew you are better because they knew you. You move from a community, and the people that you leave behind are better because you live there and you influence their life for the good and for the betterment. That's what a good person does. A good person has a way of just leaving a mark that says we're better because of you, because of that person. And that's the way you want to live. You want to make sure that your life is better, but you want to make sure the life of other people are better because they knew you, they related to you, they knew you, they talked to you, they lived around you, they learned from you, they associated with you, and from all that, they learned how to live a life that's better than they had before. That's what a good person does. Contributes to the betterment of the world in which he lives. And then let me add another point. Inner peace. Inner peace. A good person lives with a life of inner peace, a life of faith, a life of hope. He conveys hope to other people. He shares a faith with other people. He shares a sense of peace. He shares a sense of calmness in the life of other people that associate with him, wherever he is, and wherever he associates, at work or at home or in the community or in the neighborhood or wherever he is. He shows the way of living a life of faith, of hope, and having a sense of inner peace. That's what a good person does. A good person experiences that first and then teaches that to others, gives an example of that to others. That's what a good person does. We're all better because of a good person entered into our life. We're all better because a person of faith, of hope, entered into our life and shared that with us, and we became better as a result of that. And then lastly, let me just say this, that as a result of all this, a good person is easily respected, well respected, just because of the life that he lives. He lives a good life. He lives a life of responsibility. He lives a life of being trustworthy. He lives a life of caring for others. He lives a life of faith and lives a life of peace. He contributes to the world and to make the world better. He's an honorable citizen. He knows right from wrong. He lives that life of right and wrong. And as a result of that, we respect that person. It's easy to respect that person. It isn't hard to respect a person like that. That comes easy. We like people like that in our life because we want to have respect for people. And that's the person that comes to the top. It's the cream that comes to the top of the milk. The respect, because people have earned that respect because of how they have lived their life. And they live their life before us. They earn our respect. And this is how a person earns respect, to be a good person. So the idea of good is well accepted. The idea of good is well understood. The idea of good is an important word in our vocabulary. We need to be a good person. Don't worry about being the woman or the man or boy or the girl. To be a good person, whatever you are. If you're a man, then be a good man. If you're a woman, then be a good woman. You're a boy, be a good boy. If you're a girl, be a good girl. Put the emphasis upon the good that should describe or to illustrate the kind of person we are as an individual. So it's the good person that's there. Okay? Now, a call-in question. Let me give you the question that comes before us as a call-in. Are children born to be good? Are children born bad? Are children born good? It's a good question. It's a very interesting question. The short answer is this. Children are born neutral. We learn to be good. We learn to be bad, so to speak. We learn to be inappropriate. We learn to be a pill, a problem for others. Or we learn to be a person of excellence, a person of joy, a person of happiness, and to bring respect about and to bring betterment to the world. We learn that behavior. We learn responsibility. We aren't born with that sense that I'm a responsible person. We're not born with the idea that I'm a respectful person or an honorable person or I contribute to the life of others. We're not born that way. We learn that behavior. And Dad, you're the primary teacher. Mom, you're the primary teacher of that kind of behavior, of good behavior. So it's behavior that's learned. Now, if you haven't learned good behavior, you'll probably then learn bad behavior, inappropriate behavior, unacceptable behavior, problematic behavior, because that's the opposite. You either learn to be a good, contributing, respectful, honorable person of joy that brings joy, or you're the person that brings about the opposite: pain, problematic, anger, feelings of being upset, feelings of being betrayed, if you will, within the family. So, no, you're not born that way. You learn to be that good person. And it starts in the home, and then it picks up in the school classroom. That's where we learn social behavior, good behavior. So, before I end, let me just introduce my book again to you. This book is entitled Living a Life at Its Best. This is a book on emotional intelligence. It teaches you how to be emotionally intelligent. In other words, how to be emotionally good, how to be emotionally helpful, how to be emotionally happy, how to be emotionally contributing to the life of other people. Living life at its best. You can pick it up on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and pick it up on my website, www.booksbyhedberg.com. So pick it up. It's a good book for you to get a hold of. It will help you bring together this concept of a good person, a good behavior pattern, a good woman, a good man. It's that good person syndrome that we want to learn and to teach. So, Living Life at Its Best. Pick it up. I think you'll find it as a good little book to read, particularly as we come into our summer months and you're going to have some reading time by the pool. And then lastly, let me just say this. I do a podcast 3 times a week. The podcast is, you can access it by the Psychology Report, the psychologyreport.buzzsprouts.com. The psychologyreport.buzzsprouts.com. And just go to my podcast and something like 200 different programs, topics that I've covered on that. So you'll find some that might be of help to you in your parenting, helping you in your marriage, helping you in your business, helping you in your own personal life. Pick it up, listen to it, learn, and benefit from that's why we do the podcast. It's there for you. So thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time as we pick up Psychology for Today. Bye for now.
Sometimes good intentions hurt rather than help. For just $1.76 per meal, the Fresno Rescue Mission offers more than food. We offer hope. Please donate today.
Hey!
Try to close the club.
Tanya, come here.
At Boys and Girls Clubs, it's not just about trying new things.
Kitchen in my hometown.
It's not about learning the right steps.
4,
Or making contact.
5, 6, 7, 8.
It's not about exploring the future. It's about helping them build it. It's about taking steps to greatness. About making a connection. It's about proving every kid and teen has what it takes. It's about people in our clubs who bring out the greatness in every kid who enters our doors. It's not just about being on stage. It's about walking across it. Great futures start here, and here, and here.
Gained a lot, learned a lot, and got a lot of love. If it weren't for the knowledge that I had gained from the classes at PCC, I probably wouldn't be the mom I am today. So there it goes.
I would love you to meet my son Aaron. My situation was very difficult. I didn't know how my life was going to turn out.
We graduated in June 2010 and we got married in July. And through family, the Pregnancy Care Center changed our lives.
The Pregnancy Care Center was a huge, vital part in helping me walk through that pregnancy, in educating me and loving on me during that time.
CentralValleyTalk.com